So, Tim, you guys may be without PowerPoint. If you see Lisa waving at you, that might mean it's back on. So we will still, if we can't get the computer going, we won't be able to show the video tonight either. So we will still send an email out if we have church tonight, right? No message, no church, message, church. So keep that distinction in mind. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's okay. So are we good to go for now, Lisa? Or, okay. So Tim, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, you get Laura this time too, not just me. And I forgot to thank you this morning for creating the Asia atmosphere for us and not having mics or power. I would appreciate next time if you even go the extra mile and give us some warmer weather, because
yeah.
we prefer warm to cold, that's for sure. Well, let's see. Let me pull this up so I can figure out where we're supposed to start. The PowerPoint are our notes, so I need to make sure that we're not jumping ahead. I like to do that. And then it throws Laura off, and
then I ramble.
Yeah, it's just not good for anybody. Okay.
Everything I have to say is wise
All right.
and needed to be heard.
So we'll start here. If you don't get our newsletter and you would like to, I'm going to give you our email address. Shoot me an email, and we'll add you to our next list. So it's Compton's, our last name with an S, at abwe.cc. So shoot us an email. We'll add you to our message list. And let's see, Tim Compton or Laura Arndt Compton on Facebook. If you want to connect with us and be able to follow us more regularly, you can hook us up. And we promise we will like your friend request. So if you friend request us, we'll say, yeah, we'll be friends with you. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do. Oh, we are up. Okay, you can go to. Let's see, go to slide 3 maybe. All right, so that's what we looked like when we started this journey. And we look a little bit different now. First of all, our girls are bigger. And second of all, you can go to the next slide. So that's what we look like now.
Good thing he didn't say I was bigger.
Yeah, I made the mistake once, and then I didn't do it again. But we are a smaller people group when we travel, because the 3 older ones don't go with us anymore. The 2 younger ones try and get out of it, but they don't always get out of it. Okay, next slide. Quick update on our family. I think, yeah, Liz, most of you know, Liz has moved to Virginia, so she is finishing up her college, we think, at Liberty. It's been kind of a moving target, so we're hoping that she's wrapping it up. And but she doesn't even live here anymore, so we're actually going to see her on Friday, and we're bringing the rest of, we've told her, Nana and Papa's isn't a storage facility for anymore. You got to get your stuff out. So we're bringing her stuff that she left behind to her, and she'll be officially no longer in Michigan. Kenzie's next.
Okay, so Kenzie, you all know she just had surgery last week. Yeah, last week on the good knee. She's had the 4 surgeries on the one knee, trying to fix that one. Still not good, but in the process, blew the ACL in the other one. So we did that surgery last week. New doctor is pretty confident that he's going to be able to, do something with the bad knee. So as soon as she's rehabbed good enough with this knee, they'll be back. They'll be focusing on the other knee and hoping not to have another surgery, but I don't know. We may be looking at surgery number 6 again before we head back to Thailand. But
no, she's still smiling through it all. She's got about 3 more semesters left at Spring Arbor, and then, well, I guess she doesn't, because now she's going to school after. So we don't really have any idea when our kids are finishing school. They just keep adding years on. And then Maddie is actually here, and she started at Cornerstone this past fall, and you're liking it, right? Okay. You're 4 years and done, right? Okay. Good. Go, Savvy.
Okay, Savvy.
Oh,
There
she's
she
over
is.
there.
Okay.
Wave to everyone, Sav.
Savvy couldn't wait to get back to America. She, of everybody, I think she missed America the most. So she couldn't wait to get back and go to school in America. And so we were really happy that she did get to go to school in America. So far, they're still face-to-face in school. She's loving that. She's loving reconnecting with friends, and she's going to be quiet and not distract. No, just kidding. She's a good girl.
Okay, Katie was a different story. When we were getting ready to leave, she didn't really remember life in America, so she was kind of nervous. She's like, well, my school's here, and all my friends are here, and I don't remember what the food is like. And so she was really the one that was the most apprehensive of moving here for a year. I think she's adjusted pretty well, but she's pretty excited to get back and see all of her friends in Thailand and get back to some of the things that are normal to her. We finally have a son, kind of. Foon. Oh, you can talk about Foon. Yeah.
Okay. So Foon went to school with Maddie, and he really had a desire to be able to study overseas through his college years. Tim kind of mentored him through that, with applying for colleges, seeing what scholarships colleges had, which ones had international programs, and so was able to ended up connecting him with a couple schools, but Cornerstone's one that came through with like incredible scholarships for him, and so got all that said and good, and we were like excited for him to travel with us, and then COVID, everything, and embassies closing down, so trying to get him an appointment with the embassy in order to get his student visa was not happening until finally, like the week before we left. He got into the embassy, had his appointment, was given his they said, okay, we'll mail you your passport with your visa in it. And we're like, what do you mean they're mailing it? Can't you like go back tomorrow and pick it up? Like, we don't know how fast the mail's gonna work. But he had it in like 2 days, and so he made it. He got on the plane with us, and he's never been outside of the country before, so everything is new to him.
And he's fitting right in. He calls us and says, hey, I have laundry, can I bring my laundry over? So he's kind of fit right in as part of our family, and we like having him around. The girls especially like having a big brother around. So we want to share with you, for those of you who haven't come to visit us yet, what you might see in the streets of Chiang Rai. Now, motorbikes are the mode of transportation. Number one, they're cheap because, people don't make a lot of money, and they're really inexpensive having the road. And number two, it's warm. We don't have to deal with weather like this to drive your motorbike around. But they use them for absolutely everything. So the slide on the left, I don't know why, but he's got about 4 pets with him. And he's put them on his motorbike, and they're driving down, going somewhere. Maybe he's going to work. I don't know. The second one, we have an individual who's on her way home from the hospital. So she's holding an IV bag for either herself or the person that's driving with her. But she has her pet on the lap, too. So they just throw them all on the motorbike and decide to go. And you see it all. I've seen a family where the man has a toddler on his lap. He's driving. He's got 2 kids in between him, and then the mom is nursing a baby on the back. So you see it. You see it all. This is a work commuter truck, so you can't really see it great, but there are people packed into the back of the truck, and then they have more work, so they threw their ladders on the top, and they put more people on top, and that's how they commute to work together if it's farther away. Now, it's important to know that the law is the person driving the truck must wear a seatbelt. I don't know why, but if the driver wasn't wearing a seatbelt, he'd been pulled over and got fined. But the 25 people in the back of the truck are okay, I guess. And you don't see many semis by us, so they make the most use of the space that they can. I mean, look at that. That's crates just packed with feet on top of that. We're not brave. We don't like to pull alongside them because we don't know what's going to fall off, or if they hit a curb, if it's going to trip. Or if you have cattle that you need to go get butchered or take to another field, just throw them in the back of your pickup truck and drive down the road. The names of places are very interesting to me. So I was driving by this, and this is called the Miso Fat Buffet. I don't, not quite sure, but I come to later find out that it's really a plastic surgery place. So I really don't have any idea what's going on there. So if you need some plastic surgery done for 2,500 baht, go to the Miso Fat Buffet. You can talk about cafes.
Okay, coffee is everywhere in Thailand. Coffee cafes are the thing to do. Our girls prefer the pet coffee cafe. I guess I'm being redundant. Coffee cafe. The pet cafes.
They're disgusting, I think.
This is when Tim takes them on daddy-daughter dates. This is where they pick either the dog cafe, where you go and you get your drink, you get your pastry, and then you just sit and pet shedding huskies for the next hour. Or their other favorite is the cat cafe.
That's even worse, I think.
Litter boxes.
Because then they serve food, so you get to eat cat hair while you're drinking your coffee. And there's also one we haven't tried yet. Is it the Hedgehog Cafe, Kate? So she wants to go to the Hedgehog Cafe. So this is what your electricity looks like. Most of you have seen that. They just string up wires when they're trying to, don't really figure out what the wrong one is or the broken one is. They just string up a new one. And this is how they work. We were amazed when we saw this. We had to pull over and take a picture. They put a bamboo ladder on the wires. They climbed up. They threw a rope over, and they shimmied the rope down so they can connect wires together. So they're just dangling from electrical lines, and they're working on the side of the road.
And their warning for you is a little piece of red fabric tied to the bottom rung of the bamboo ladder. So that is, as you're coming around the curve, in your car or motorbike, whatever, that's your warning. A little red piece of material down there that, be careful. There's men on this ladder or dangling or whatever. So.
And you can't see it because I didn't zoom in the picture, but the OSHA certified approved, or I guess OSHA approved foot apparel are the flip-flops. So they're wearing flip-flops while they're dangling from power lines.
And to do road construction.
Yeah.
Hot asphalt. We were driving by, and they're all out there in their Crocs or
Crocs and flip-flops. But hey, they're cheap, and you can get them pretty easy over there. We do get to eat some pretty amazing food. This is Kenzie eating our family favorite dish of cow soy. And when you do get to venture up into the mountain villages, they'll kill a pig and put this feast together for you. Now, one thing you have to get over is you can't be a germaphobe, because they eat family style, and by that, you see the spoons and the bowls, that's your spoon. So you eat, and then you go to the next bowl, and you eat, and you go to the next. So everyone around that table is dipping their.
You don't get your own plate.
Yeah, you
get your own spoon.
So you're sharing everyone's immune system, which may be why we don't have COVID. Yeah, I don't know.
So.
At least we don't think we've had it. You want to take this one?
So these are the cafes I prefer, the ones in the mountains or in the rice fields. We're in a beautiful part of the world, and I don't know if that's what kind of helped make Thailand just feel like home to us, but I never feel like I'm not supposed to be there. I'm just in awe that I get to live there, and just the waterfalls, the flower gardens. It's just beautiful.
There's sometimes where we'll be eating dinner together, and we're like, Laura, I'll say, Laura, it feels like we're cheating. I mean, look where God put us. I mean, this is great. It's hard to believe that we've been there 4 years. I mean, they flew by. I mean, there's been some weeks where we say, man, what a year this last week has been. But for the most part, it's flown by. And there's been some things where God has changed plans. And we think we're going to do one thing, and we're doing something totally different now. And it was we spent the last 4 years just learning, saying, hey, God, how can you use us here? Or will this work? Or
maybe
this didn't work, so we'll try something different next time. Language, culture. We just dove in and said, God, refine us and teach us and let us know what you want us doing. And he started bringing people into our lives, saying, hey, I need you to love people. And we're like, okay, how do we love them? Well, it's going to be different. Each person is going to be different. So you need to love them differently, but figure out how to love them, and then let me do the work after that. So I want to introduce you to some of the people that God brought to us. Am I missing anything or no? You good? Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
so.
go next. Yep, go ahead.
So I'll introduce you to Geet. So Geet worked in the bars, and that, that job description, take your imagination as far as it will go and go a little further, is what her job entailed. So that's what she did. Her sister, a few years ago, her sister, who is my language tutor, was able to get her out of that and paid for her to go to cosmetology school, and then got her set up in a salon after she graduated, or got her certificate. The problem is, Geet is still stateless, and I don't know if you remember us talking to you about that last time we were here. Stateless meaning she's not a citizen of anywhere. She was born into one of the tribal groups up there in the north, and the stateless people are still treated pretty poorly and looked down upon, like barely human. So even though she had her cosmetology certificate, being stateless, the other girls in the salon wouldn't let her work, wouldn't let her do hair. They just were like, you can go get us our lunch. You can make us lunch. You can sweep the floors. You can wash the towels, do the laundry. No, you won't cut hair. What are you thinking? You'll never be anything more than a bar girl. That was how they treated her. And so after about a year of putting up with that kind of treatment and that verbal abuse every day, she came home the one day and said to her sister, like, I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. At least when I was working in the bars, I was making more money. So I'm just going to go back to that. And so her sister called us just crying. She's like, I don't know what to do. I can't let my sister go back to the bars. I can't let her do that. She was drunk every day of her life. That's how she coped. That's how she was able to do what she needed to do. And she's like, she's been sober. I can't let her go back to that. And so Tim and I just kind of talked, and we reached out to a couple salon owners that we know here in the States and just asked, like, would you be interested in sponsoring her to get her own shop up and going? And they were excited, of course, like, to do that and be a part of that. And a couple other people heard about what we were doing and said, like, well, we'd love to help too. And so, yeah, this was who God put in our life. Like, yeah, this is who I need you to love right now, and this is what it's going to look like. So Tim started, with his business background, just started, meeting with her and mentoring her through how, set up a business plan, how to, have a budget, and how to run a business. And her and I would, sit down and figure out, okay, what are you going to need to open up your shop? Like, what supplies do we need first? What's priority? And what's that going to cost, so that we know what numbers to work with in your budget, and then just getting out shopping for all of that stuff. But in that process, like, she spent a lot of time in our home with us, and she saw Tim interact with me, and she saw Tim interact with our girls. And so one night she said to her sister, she's like, I just don't understand why Tim treats Pilar the way he does. Like, he serves her. I don't understand. And so her sister, who just flippantly responds, oh, because he loves Jesus. And so, like, her sister's telling me this. She's like, I just told her, like, yeah, because you guys love Jesus. That's why you do what you do. And her sister isn't even a follower of Jesus, but we've had a lot of conversations over the years of Thai class about Jesus and God and everything. And so she knows. That's, like, always our answer for why we do things. So then the one day Geet and I are out, like, shopping for some of her things. She says to me, she's like, okay, I know it's because you love Jesus, but I just still don't understand why that makes you different. I just don't understand. And so I was like, well, do you want to come to church with us? We had been going to a church that has it's a Thai national pastor and wife, and so I said, if you want to come, it's spoken in Thai, so you'll understand, and maybe he can explain, and you'll understand, why we are the way we are. And so she's like, okay, yeah, I'll come. So she came, and she just loved it. The acceptance that was there for her, and she fell in love, and she came.
People didn't
every
care
week.
about her history, who she was. They just loved her.
Yeah, it didn't matter that she was stateless. And so she just kept coming week after week. And then COVID came, and so, church had to close for a while. But I reached out to her. I was like, look, do you want to still try and get together one-on-one, and we can study through the Bible together, and, you can see for yourself and read for yourself who Jesus is and who Jesus, says that he is. And so she was excited to do that, and I said, well, and how about we invite Jeet, our pastor's wife, to come and study with us, because my Thai is not that good for me to be able to explain all of this to you, or if you have questions. So she was excited to have Jeet come and be a part of it, and I was really excited about that because, I knew we'd be leaving soon, and so it gave me someone to be able to connect her with in our church, to hand her off to, so that when we left, we didn't just leave her. I was able to leave her with G, and they're still meeting and studying the Bible. And if you're struggling with having passion about Jesus, or just I don't know, you've lost some excitement, do a Bible study with somebody, and if it can be someone who's never heard the name Jesus before, even better, because studying through the book of Mark, so we're studying through Mark, and you're going through the book of Mark and watching Jesus introduce himself to people and seeing what he does and how he treats people. Her questions, when she's like, so, wait, Jesus just told that man to get up and walk. And I'm like, yeah. And he just got up and walked? I'm like, yes. That's it? He just told the man to walk and he walks. I'm like, yes. Or then she's like, he just told the evil demons to go, to come out and go. And they listened? Yes. All those demons, they just listened to him. He just said something. Yes. He didn't do anything, though. So I know he doesn't have to. His words are power enough. And that's huge for her because of the fear of evil spirits that they live under. So for her to see the power Jesus has over the demons was huge. But then just seeing how Jesus cared for women and valued children, and she is so drawn to Jesus, and so watching her excitement and love grow for him, it's making my excitement, and I'm just so much more in love with Jesus.
When salons or businesses are open up for the first time, or somebody buys a new home, they do these ceremonies. And I was talking to another Thai guy that helps Thais open business, and I said, what can we expect? And he said, well, they're going to do this ceremony, they're going to invite the monk to come in, and they're going to want to do a blessing on the business. So I asked Geet, I said, hey Geet, would you mind if we invite Pastor A to come and maybe pray for you in the shop? And she said, yeah, that would be great. So she asked the monk. A and Jeet came to the opening, and A prayed, and then her family was all there. So then they went and started asking A all these questions about God and Jesus, and A said, well, this is a family that's on the verge. So we're still praying that God will use this salon to reach the family. And if you ever question my plans versus God plans, when I look at this, I just kind of chuckle, even when we put these presentations together, because I'm going to Thailand thinking sports, 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 sports. God says hair salon. So I don't look like a guy that hangs on hair salons very often, but that's where I was every week, putting together business plans and going through that past week, and then Laura would meet with her and go through Mark, and that's just God's ways, I guess, is all I can say about that. And then Laura and I just really had a burden for students as well. And God started bringing students into our lives, particularly ones that grew up in children's homes, because as they age out, they're kind of on their own. So they still don't have a family that's a support system for them. They're just on their own now, trying to figure out life. Now, M is a young man that Josh started discipling, and then when Josh came back for furlough, he kind of handed M off to me, and M and I started meeting. And just the conversations you have with a student are just fun. M and I would meet regularly, and we'd go through a book about what it looks like to be a godly man. M was saved at a younger age. I don't know if anyone really discipled him until Josh started. And he would just have questions like, he would say, he'd be all upset, P. Tim, I bought this iPhone on the street, and I was going to give it to my girlfriend, but I found out it's a fake. He goes, so I'm just going to sell it. I said, okay, Em, but you have to tell the person you're selling to that it's a fake. He's like, no, I don't. They didn't tell me. I said, well, we're called to something different, so we're honest. That's not loving people by selling them a phone that's a fake. He says, oh, okay. Another conversation we had was things like, he was really bothered. He said, P. Tim, is it a problem that my girlfriend isn't a Christian? So we spent a day just talking through, what that will look like in the future. But we ended with, hey, Em, here's the good news. You can bring her to church. You can start telling her about God. And best case scenario, she accepts Christ. And it's not you don't even have to worry about it. He goes, oh, I don't think I can do that. I said, why? He goes, because I don't treat her very well. She won't want to be a Christian. So I said, okay, Em, we got some more work to do. Let's take a few steps back and let's walk through what it's like to be a Christian and how to treat women. But those are just some great conversations and just encouraging him through finding things for internships. He wanted to do what was easy and just go cut grass at a foundation. I said, Em, you have an English major. Do something that will stretch you a little bit and help you have a future mindset. And so he did that. And now he's in the process of starting his own business. And he's really excited. He sent me a message the other day. He's meeting with a Thai Christian business owner, and he's mentoring him through the business and just how to do things the way God would want us to be business owners. So we're really excited to see Em start to flourish and be honest. He's graduated from university now, so he's starting to do adulthood. He's growing up. He still shows up for meals, though. Okay, you can go phone and play.
Okay, phone and play. So phone is the one sitting on the couch snuggling with Kate there. She also grew up in a children's home. She was placed in the children's home because she was rejected by her family. But then she never really fit into the children's home either. I don't know this much about the scenarios, but she just said she never felt like a part of the family there. She wasn't one of them. And so she just dealt with a lot of rejection. And because of that, was majorly depressed and struggled with suicidal thoughts. So she was one of the university girls that started coming to our house also. On Thursday nights, we had, I'd cook a meal, they could come eat, and then we'd help them with their English homework, and then, they could stay, hang out, play games, watch movies, or just hang out and talk. So she was one of those girls, and she just would stay every week and just hang out and talk. And
until 1 in the morning.
And then she just started kind of showing up more often through the week to just kind of hang out with our family. And she became one of us. She was one of our girls. And so she started coming to church with us when we started going to this new Thai church. And like I said before, the church, they're very big on family. That's God's design for the church. We're each other's family. And so the church lives that really well. And so she just, like Geet, just felt accepted there. And she belonged there. And so she just loved coming, and she was loving learning. And so then she reached out to her friend Ploy and got Ploy to start coming to church too. And same thing, Ploy right away loved just the love that was there. And Ploy said to me after the first Sunday, she was like, I've never seen so many people in one place that were happy. And so then when Ploy went home at Christmas, she told her mom, she's like, I'm not going to go to the temple with you this time. And her mom said, oh, well, why not? She said, because I'm not going to be Buddhist anymore. And her mom was like, you're not? And she said, no, I'm Christian now. And her mom said, oh, well, what does that mean? And Ploy started to cry, and she said, I didn't know what to say to my mom because I don't know what Christian is. I just know I want to be one. And so her and I started talking and just kind of having conversations of who Jesus is and what he did for us. And so she just, she wanted to learn. Well, then when, COVID happened and church had to close for a while, same thing with the girls. I said, we can still meet together and do Bible study. We can study through the book of Mark. And so Phone was all excited. She's like, yes, I want to come and do that. And Ploy was like, oh, I can't come. I'm busy. So Phone and I started meeting and studying. And after a couple of weeks, Phone told me, she said, Pilara, Ploy really wants to come and study the Bible too, but she's still too embarrassed. And that's kind of like the Thai culture of not shaming yourself. Because Ploy doesn't know anything about the Bible or about Jesus, she doesn't want to study with me one-on-one because then I would know how much she doesn't know, and that would be embarrassing for her. So she just wasn't coming, but was really wanting to. And so I said to Phone, I said, well, then you just teach her. And Phone, oh, no, Pilar, I can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do that? Just, you guys hang out all the time. You study the Bible with her. Oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know enough. And I said, well, what did you learn today, Phone? What did you learn about God today? And so she told me, rambled it all off, because if there's one thing Phone can do well, it's talk, and talk fast. And so she rambles it all off. And I said, okay, well, go tell Ploy what you just told me. And she said, it's that easy? I said, yes. She's like, I can do that. I can tell her what and I said, yeah, so you come here, we'll study, and whatever you learn, then you go and you teach Ploy what you just learned. She was like, yeah, I can do that. So she was so excited about that. And then she's like, but wait, what if she has a question and I don't know the answer? I said, then you come back and you ask me and we'll study together. I said, because sometimes I don't know the answers to your questions either. So she was so excited about that, so she started doing that. So they've been meeting and studying through the Bible together. And so, this is a girl a year ago was suicidal, and now she's like discipling one of her friends.
She sent us a message, it's probably about a month and a half ago now, saying, okay, Ploy understands baptism, but we don't understand the Holy Spirit. I said, okay, well, it's a long journey. We'll pass that on to somebody else maybe, I don't know.
That's lifetime.
But they're still meeting together. It's just really exciting for us, because one of the concerns when you leave, especially for the long amount of time that we're going to be here, is that things that you started will kind of fizzle out. But God's just been sending us messages of encouragement, showing us that Geet and Jeet are still meeting together, and Phone and Ploy are still meeting together, and M's meeting with this businessman, and things are going. He doesn't need us over there to keep things going. He's still moving in people's hearts. So that's encouraging for us to see that. Okay, well, what's next for us? That's a big question. So our plan is to head back, depending on who you talk to, June or July. Probably will be July. And a lot of it will hinge on if we can get back in or not. Right now, we don't have the visa type that will allow us back in. They're only letting a certain amount of people in that aren't Thai nationals. We're hoping that either through a vaccine or just the pandemic scare going down a little bit, that we'll be able to get back in July when we want to go. You can go to the next slide. So what are we going to do when we get there? I want to share a little bit about Nate and Stephanie. They were friends of ours from pretty much the minute we landed. Nate picked our girls up. We didn't have a car, and he picked them up and took them to school the first day that school was there. And they lived close to us, and we just became fast friends. Nate worked in the banking industry like me, and in his late 30s, God called him to Thailand like me. And they went there focused on working with a group of people, and God changed all their plans, kind of like us. So they were like, okay, what are we supposed to do here? So they just started doing things in Chiang Rai and just working with people that God put in their lives, like us. And they're just kind of operating on their own, just doing things, and we were operating on our own doing things. And we would get together regularly and just talk about how things are going with our ministries and what's been going on. And we just started noticing, like, oh, what they're doing is kind of like what we're doing, or we kind of got the same vision and how the mission philosophy. And we started talking more and more, and then COVID came.
Well, let's talk about Doi Chang.
Okay. So you can go to the next slide. So one of the people that God brought into Nate's life was this man named Go. And a quick backstory on Go, and we're running out of time, so we got to fly through it. Go was coffee farmer in Doi Chang. But when he was a young boy, his younger brother was really sick. He had this bloated stomach. He couldn't walk. He couldn't eat. And his dad was taking him to the village witch doctors to find healing for him. Well, Oi's dad was a believer and said, well, how about I just pray for him? And he said, we'll do anything. If you want to pray for him, pray for him. Well, so Oi's dad prayed that God would heal Go's brother, and A week later, his brother was running around eating, and life was normal for him. And that day, Go's dad gave his life to Christ, and the family came to know Christ, and they started following Jesus. Well, fast forward to when Go met Nate. They were going to a Thai church together that was started, and Go said, I really have a heart to reach the people back in Doi Chang in my village. And he married Oi, so that's kind of how they're together. And Nate said, okay, well, I don't really know what that means. Let's start a Bible study in your coffee shop, and we'll see what happens up in the mountain. So they started Bible study, and that started growing and growing and growing, and they started meeting in people's homes and growing, and Nate was like, I think we accidentally planted a church because people are coming to know Christ. And it was exciting, and then Go told Nate, well, you know what the next step is? We need to go be teaching English in a school. And Nate's like, well, I don't know how to teach English in a school, but I'll do it. So he went, and he did it, and for about 1.5 years to 2 years, he went every week and taught English in the Buddhist school in the village of Doi Chang. Last week, no, it wasn't last week, it's probably a month ago now, Nate messaged me and said, Go told me, I think it's time to do a youth group at our church. Nate said, okay. He goes, invite the kids at your next English lesson. And Nate said, okay. So we invited the kids. 70 kids from the school showed up to this youth group. 14 accepted Christ. And I said, Nate, what's our follow-up plan? What do you have going on next? He goes, I have no idea. I was not expecting this response. So God's just working in this village. And then then COVID came, and we started talking about what's going on in the village. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Nate and Go got together and figured out how they're going to follow up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Nate and Go got together, figured out how they're going to follow up, and these kids are just eager to learn the Bible. And we kind of said, well, we kind of stumbled upon a ministry vision here, Nate, because what we were kind of doing, just loving people, and what you were doing, loving people, it kind of works, right? I mean, you just said, okay, I'll go up with you in the mountain and help you start a Bible study, and then we'll go in and teach, and people are coming to know Christ. So Nate one night said, hey,
So COVID comes, and we were all just getting together. Them and us would get together once a week and just play games together, just to kind of keep ourselves socially sane. And we would be talking about what was going on. Nate was kind of talking about Doi Chang and everything. And finally one night, he just said to Tim, he was like, you know what? Doi Chang is about to the point where they're ready to be on their own. They don't really need me there. Probably within the next year, they won't really need me there anymore. And so, Steph and I are going to be looking for the next place to go. But we don't really want to do that alone. We'd like it if you guys would consider partnering with us, and we just kind of, do this together from here on out.
All right. So, I took a trip up the mountain to see kind of what they were doing, and it just was real exciting to see God working in that village. Now, there's still some things that we're going to do together with Nate that village still needs help with down in Chiang Rai, but we're going to see where God takes that. But we're going to be looking for our next village. But before we get into that, I think the video's next. What kind of?
Do you want to skip the video?
No, we can watch the video. We'll fly through. They're used to staying late. We can make it work. All right, let's watch this real quick.
We have an indescribably, incomprehensibly great God who's looked upon a sinfully depraved people and sent a scandalously merciful Savior. And as a result, we have an indescribably urgent mission. Brothers and sisters, we must sacrifice our lives and shepherd our churches to penetrate unreached peoples with the gospel, because we are convinced down at the core of our being that our God deserves the praise, not just of a few thousand people groups on the planet. Our God deserves the praise of all 16,000 people groups on this planet. it's worth it to represent this God and to declare his word. Is there anything more important to give our lives to than the representation and declaration of this God's glory to the ends of the earth? Whom shall I send and who will go for us? The Lord pronounces in Isaiah 6. Isaiah rises up and says, here am I, send me.
Okay, those last clips was the church in Deutschland, so it's exciting to see it flourishing there. And our vision is this: we're going to go into a village. Let's see, you can go to the next slide. Focus on a village for the next 2 to 3 years. And our village that we want to go into is one that has little to no church engagement. So we're going to be going a little bit farther outside the city to find a village that really hasn't had much involvement with the church or church plant movement going on. And we would like to have, or we want to have, a national in that village, someone like Go, who will be there doing all the follow-up, the one that will be leading everything, so it's not us bringing everything in. We plan to work with the resources that are in that village, so we're not going to be taking on anything big that will stress them out. It's just going to be, hey, what do you have to work with? Let's use what you have and love your people and help you build relationships in that village. You can go to the next slide. Our family's role, so the Crandalls and our role, are really just to be to loosen the soil. So we're going to go in and say, what do you need? I mean, there's some ideas that we have up there in ways that when teams come out, they can get involved with. But really, we're going to go in and say, you know, what do you see as a need here, and what's going to help you gain credibility and build relationships in the village with the people that you want to reach? So job creation is one that I get pretty excited about. Nate and I have this vision of going in and creating jobs for women that can help keep the women in their village and be able to provide some income, and have the National's wife then run that and lead Bible studies at the workplace. So that's one that we're going to be seeing if that will work in the next village. You can go on to the next slide. And here's the reason that we're even doing it and going to these villages. The gospel is going to be at the center of everything that we're doing. Our goal is to evangelize, disciple, strengthen the church if there is one there. If there's one planted, we want to help strengthen that. And if there's not one, encourage one and be a part in assisting one that will be planted in that village. So here's how you can be praying for us. I won't read through everything, but you can be praying for Kenzie's knees. That's a big one that's heavy on our heart still, that she'll be able to walk without pain. Continue to pray for Geet in Ploy. If they haven't yet, they're really close to accepting Christ. We're waiting for that email that said, hey, we've given our lives over to Christ. Be praying for our visas. You know, there's a couple of options that we're working through so we can stay long term. It's a big stressor just trying to stay in the country. So, and it can be quite expensive. So we're praying for an affordable way that we can stay long term. And then finally, the biggest one for us is that when God gives us the clear vision of which village to go into, right now, as of 2 weeks ago, Nate and I have narrowed it down to 2 that we'd like to go into. One is Geet's home village. But that when he gives the direction of the village and what we want to do, that we'll go and we won't ask stupid questions like, are you sure this is the village? Or can you give us a sign this is what you want us to go and do? That we'll just be ready to go and hit the ground running. Do you want us to open up for questions, or do you want to let it roll? Okay. You guys can go home and eat.
Tim and Laura will hang around after we dismiss you. If you do have some other specific questions, they'd be glad to answer them for you. You know, sometimes we only see what God is doing in our own community, and we forget what God is doing all around the world, whether it be in Ghana, or whether it be in Thailand, or whether it be in Brazil. The gospel is being taken to the uttermost place of the earth, and we are just thrilled as a church to be able to partner with missionaries like Tim and Laura, who are God's instruments in doing that. You might ask yourself the question, as Laura's been engaging in these one-on-one Bible studies, how can you establish a relationship to do that, and what does that look like? And actually, the seminar we're showing tonight will explain how that can happen and give you some resources to do that. So these are great examples of how God uses that in Thailand. He can do the same thing here. And so I hope that you'll be back to take advantage of that. Thank you so much for coming this morning. You're dismissed. And Lord willing, we'll see you tonight. God bless you.